I will pull down the sleeves though.
I'm gonna intro.
Alright.
Oh, and also, or wait.
Should I intro and
Yeah,
just
and
pass
hand
it?
it to you.
Alright.
At some point we're gonna, actually maybe that's a good way to do it when someone else intros actually, because that way, okay, you ready? A couple seconds.
Hi, we're the Huge Movie Fanatics here to do a review for The Great Gatsby, and since this gentleman here saw it as well as I will let him discuss it first.
Alright, so Great Gatsby. So last year, I don't know when it was, probably last summer or something, trailers started popping up in 3D. I saw one in 3D and I'm like, holy shit. I can't remember if they had that contemporary music in the trailer last summer or not.
I think they did.
Because I didn't notice it.
Okay.
So then it's revealed in a review, I don't know what the hell review it is, that by actually finding out on camera that it wasn't good. It was supposed to come out last November
I remember
or December,
that, yeah.
remember? And you told me, no, that's been pushed back to May, and I said,
I remember that now, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell review it was, but it's on here somewhere.
Yeah.
And so in between then and now, I've become aware of the contemporary quote-unquote music in the movie.
Yeah.
And I had kind of decided to not see it in the theater after that, but then we talked about trying to plan reviews for today. He said he wanted to review it. There's a $4 theater that was playing it. I figured let's just X off one solo review and just go for it. I was going to eventually see it anyway.
Yeah.
So instead of blind buying it for $19, let's pay $4 to see it, or $20 we'll pay $4 to see it. And this is, what the hell review was it? It was the best and worst of 2012, I think, where we talked about Lawless and movies that take place in an era, but really don't give a shit about the era. And this is probably the best example, or at least one of the best examples I can think of, right at this moment of that thing.
Okay.
And even though King Kong, one thing I also don't like, but it's obvious because it's 2013 and they're going to do it, and it's an easier way to recreate the time, but just the obvious CG. I mean, it's really, the plus about the movie is how it looks, and it looks great.
Totally.
Okay, I didn't see it in 3D, I saw it for $4 at a $4 theater. I'm not going to pay, so, so that's how that goes. But, I'd say the one good thing about the movie is how it looks and the flashiness of that. I just want to try to stay on track. There's so much that So, where was I going? I was going with movies not... the CG, yeah. So the CG kind of, like when they're driving around, it's mostly those just big shots of the city and stuff. That kind of takes me out of it, and it looks too, especially being digital projected. That's one thing I really don't like about period movies, when they're just so crisp and clean and digital like that. So I heard about this quote-unquote contemporary out of quotes and quote-unquote music in the movie, and that was like, oh man. And to be fair, there wasn't a whole lot in it. Probably like 3 or 4 or 5 at most cues that didn't last very long.
No.
So
I'll touch base on that.
Well, why don't you?
With my half, but keep
going.
Okay,
fine. So ultimately, I'm not a reader. I can read, but I don't generally read unless it's like a Friday 13th novelization or something like that.
I have read those. Anyway.
Right on. So I can read, but I really don't read books. Okay. So I didn't know the story, or I didn't see the original movie either. I didn't know anything about the story.
This is the 5th version of this movie.
Oh, really? So it's been a movie before.
This is the 5th time.
Well, the title was very familiar.
Yeah.
The
most famous one was starring Robert Redford as Gatsby.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
So what I'm getting at is I can't comment on the way they told the story because I don't know anything about the story. So that's that. I'm just commenting on the movie. And I found the first, half when he's getting introduced in wasn't it like the editor was some 14-year-old kid, ADHD son of a bitch, and there was this movie that was edited the same way a while back, which I can't think of, but there were moments that were just like it in this one where the lips didn't even, the people talking didn't even match what they were saying. And I can't remember what the hell other movie it was, but it was the same thing where it was just like cutting for no reason, and so much so that when you cut to like a half a second clip of the character talking from another angle, the lips weren't even doing what the guy was saying.
Like when they were over somebody's shoulder, like
That's a
sort
big
of profile,
problem. And
you couldn't see like the jaw moving entirely or something. So like,
I don't understand why they
like that
shoot over shoulder like that, because it always ends up happening where the guy talking is never moving the way. It's just anyway. We're getting into a bunch of little things,
really technical things.
Yeah, right. So the first half was just like, oh my gosh, we're cutting just because we get a credit every time we make a cut. What?
The weird thing was with like the opening like segment of the movie, the first like little bit of the movie, is there's so many cuts and cutting so fast, but the movie's moving so slow.
Isn't that great?
It's just so weird. Like
contradictory.
They were shooting it like an action picture, and it wasn't. Like I was expecting Jason Bourne.
He'll enter the room and it's like up to some bimbo's face. Hi, honey, and it'll just like, within that one moment there'll be 3 shots, and it's just like, what are we? And they're trying to interject energy by simply cutting. It reminded me, Captain America 1990. It's just
That's true.
like cutting everywhere. So this is probably 2 stars, and I don't even know why it's 2 stars necessarily. I just, at the end of the day, it looked really great, and it did slow down the second half or fourth.
Yeah.
And I think the reason it probably would have been 1.5 if it wasn't for it slowing down and just actually doing something a little more like a 19-year-old versus his 14-year-old editing. And I just thought the performance, it just, and I understand it might have been one of these pieces that's like, over the top. I just didn't agree. The performances didn't agree with me in that over the top fantasy world thing. It didn't agree with me. I'm dry.
Okay, so I actually liked it, despite all its many flaws. So let's discuss what you hit on right away, which was the use of contemporary music.
Oh yeah, I forgot all about that.
All right, so here's the problem with it. Like, Baz Luhrmann is the director, and he's done this plenty of times before. He made Romeo and Juliet, a movie I quite liked, and he sort of made it like a little rock, like 90s alternative rock. And then he did Moulin Rouge, and he made a very 70s sort of, I guess, rock feel to that as well. All like love ballady kind of stuff. And for both of those it worked, but it was because he committed entirely. In this movie, he does like the whole rap thing in place of the 20s jazz feel. And it would have worked had he committed to it all the way. It was like midway through he just got cold feet and he was like, I gotta put in jazz, and the jazz stuff works because it was contemporary for the time, and then it just makes all the modern stuff feel weird and artificial.
Well,
like he should have committed one way or the other.
I was just gonna say one or the other. Even as much as you wouldn't want to hear the whole movie full of and the bitch got down on her knees. And it was
Jay-Z is a poor choice for a rap star to begin with. I mean, no offense, I have friends who are Jay-Z fans, one of which listens, and he's probably going to be bitching me out in the comments below.
No offense.
No offense, I know you love your Jay-Z, but like, he was a poor choice to score this movie.
Well, that's what it seemed like to me. It was shot normally, and then some way through the post, it was like, I'll give you some motherfucking money if you fucking let me fucking
pretty much
fucking music in it. And it was just like, it seemed like it wasn't shot for it.
Yeah, totally.
And there was even scenes, it seemed like to me at the very beginning at Gatsby's or something, where it was like the jazz in the background, and then all of a sudden the rap is laying on top of it, and it's just like...
It just sounded bad.
Holy shit.
Like, the movie starts working really well when they use the contemporary music of the age that it was done.
Ooh.
Like, when Gatsby's actual reveal while he's, like, on those stairs. Oh my god, that was pimp
it was
shot.
like Goosebumps. It was, what the hell's the name of that? Rhapsody in Blue or whatever?
Yeah, Rhapsody in Blue.
I was humming it in the theater. I was like...
I like had this big grin on my face. I was like, this is the best movie ever.
If the whole movie would have been like that with that music,
I would have fallen for it probably.
I would have been giving it more than 2 stars.
Certainly, yeah. So like,
I forgot all about that. I have to say that was a great moment, and thanks at least for that moment. Instead of like when he turns around, and the guy's such a mother. He's a pimp. You know, can you imagine putting that in there?
It just felt weird.
The bitch got on her knees.
It was really kind of unfortunate at times. But the other thing is, like, I am a little familiar with the book. I haven't read it, but
I figured.
My dad's read it. A lot of my friends read it. I'm very familiar with the story. I have seen one of the previous movies, maybe even two, because the BBC did a production as well years ago that I watched. Anyway, so I am familiar with the story, and the thing is, and this is the problem with every incarnation, is the story is so slight and so small. Like, it's just a small-scale story, and all of the movies, because Gatsby throws these big parties, focus so much of their attention on the parties. And whenever it's on the party stuff, the audience just completely doesn't care. Like, I was completely disinterested during all the party stuff. Like, it was beautifully shot, don't get me wrong, and it looked great, but it didn't pull you in. When the movie worked was when the movie got intimate, when it was like just two characters in a room, three characters in a room, and it started to gel like none other. It was like, oh, this is great. And I liked all that stuff, and a lot of that came in the second half.
Yeah, go ahead.
Once it got like more close and personal, once the story got personal, that's when it started to take off really, really well. And then, like, the elephant in the room is DiCaprio. He gave one hell of a damn performance. He outshined everybody else. Tobey Maguire did a fine job. The villainous dude, he did all right. I wasn't pleased with the girl at all, like Carey Mulligan, the main girl.
Oh yeah.
I didn't think she was all that. Like, she was pretty, but I feel like there's probably better actors out there somewhere.
Before I forget, let me just mention that scene when you said Leonardo DiCaprio. That scene where they meet was just, I thought that was actually very good.
Yeah.
And Leo was just, it's like 97. Leonardo was great in that scene.
Yeah, he is such a good actor, and he had so many great moments. The moment when he explodes too, where the anger just gets released, and he's just like shaking his fist over.
Did you get sick of hearing
Gatsby?
Old Boy.
No, Old Boy didn't bother me. If I hear the word Gatsby one more time, I will stick like something in my ear.
Gatsby.
They said it like 500 times in the movie. It's like, I've watched plenty of other movies where, like, even the movies named after the main, like Harry Potter. They don't say Harry Potter every 4 seconds in that movie.
I got more noises.
Old Boy?
Old Boy, yeah.
Actually, I wanted to start saying that afterwards. I was like, that's pretty cool. I might start entering that into my vernacular.
Good.
But I don't know. At the end of the day, I liked it. DiCaprio kind of won me over for the whole movie. His performance was so great in it. Like, yeah, sure, it has its problems, and plenty of them are glaring. It didn't really bother me that it got, like, too big, because, with the, you mentioned the driving and stuff like that. None of those shots really bothered me, just because I've seen that so many times. You mentioned King Kong, the Peter Jackson one, where they did that quite a bit.
Well, to me,
doesn't really.
To me, if you're going to do a period piece, there's a couple rules. First of all, the music you should have no music or basically anything that didn't exist. That didn't exist before or at that time is kind of a general rule, and also, if possible, use as little basically CG as possible. Like The Master, I've talked about The Master and how big a fan I am of The Master. You know, and these you know.
Shoot it on film too.
Which again is The Master. Yeah, I don't have a problem with CG and all this kind of stuff like, you know, Star Trek. I mean, you know, flashy and digital photography. Although that's probably shot on film. I think Star Trek. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, the more you go into the 21st century in terms of movie technology, the more it sets me apart. Oh. The opening I really liked a lot, where the credits, and it was the black and white, and it was the rundown. I was like, oh, there's a couple of young kids in the theater, and I was thinking, oh my God, they're probably wondering if it's going to be the whole thing, and they're going to walk out here. What's this no color shit? But then I liked the beginning, how that was, and then as it began, it faded into color and whatever. But yeah, I'll let you continue.
Typically, I agree with you. This one, like, Baz Luhrmann, I give him a little leeway because his whole shtick is that he takes old stories and gives it to you in a modern way. And
Sure.
so,
But
like,
yeah.
but like with Public Enemies, I totally agree with you. That movie was horseshit
Oh, we
because
gotta
of
talk
the way it
about
was
that
shot, and
someday.
we'll review it someday, I'm sure. But anyway, the best thing about this movie, besides DiCaprio, was the way that the story unfolds. It sort of reminded me of a flower. Like,
Yeah.
it's like the story, you don't know what the movie's going to be about even halfway through. It's just like one petal is coming down at a time.
That's true.
And the way that the story unfolds was just so interesting and majestic, and it sort of reflected how the character of Gatsby was, the audience's reaction to Gatsby, because at first you're just like, oh, he's this rich bastard that
Just
I'm
fucks him.
probably not gonna like him. But then the more you get to know him, the more you realize he's a genuinely good guy, and then you see what his motivations are, and like the story starts unfolding, and at the end of the movie you really feel bad and have a lot of like sympathy for Gatsby, which in the opening shot of the thing, when you first hear about Gatsby and him talking about him, you're just like, I'm not gonna like this guy. He's a typical rich douchebag and
Rich bastard.
and he's not. In the movie, I thought the way that the movie unfolded was really good, and probably the best way I've seen a Gatsby movie unfold. I thought Larman captured that really well, or that was probably the script writers. I don't know who wrote it. I didn't research that. I apologize.
Oh,
But I'll give it 3 stars. He gives it 2. I think we talked enough.
we've talked
about
enough about it. There's got a whole list today of stuff. So
Yeah.
thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.
Catch you later, old boy. Huh?
I was gonna say Gatsby.
Oh.
I don't have anything for you to stick in your ear.
No.
Thanks for watching.
Peace.